If you own or run a business in the state of California, it's critical to understand what's happening right now. The state of California has a new mandate that requires employers to provide a retirement plan to all employees. In order to comply, there are specific dates and deadlines and penalties if you don't. I'm your host, Ash Bennington. Today, I'm joined by Steve Bressler, who has spent more than 30 years helping employers build high-performing retirement plans. Steve, welcome.
Thanks, Ash. Great to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to our discussion today. It's a topic I'm really passionate about, and one that every California employer really needs to know the details of.
Okay, Steve, to start with, why did California feel it was necessary to implement a retirement savings mandate for employers?
Well, Ash, the main reason is there's a real retirement crisis in America today. Approximately 1 in 5 working Americans have zero retirement savings, and 60% of those who are saving have less than $1,000 a year for retirement. We also know that workers with access to a workplace savings plan are 15 times more likely to save for retirement. And we also know that nearly half of all American workers do not have access to a retirement plan at work. So an employer-sponsored retirement plan can really help solve some of these problems. And that's why California decided to implement the mandate.
Okay, Steve, so the mandate is new. What exactly is the California state mandate for employers?
Yeah, the state of California now requires all employers to provide a qualified retirement plan, like a 401k. The mandate applies to all private sector and nonprofit employers with 1 employee or more. And that's a recent change. Up until the end of last year, only companies with more than 25 employees were subject to the mandate. But that changed on December 31st, 2025, a couple of months ago, and now all companies with at least 1 employee are required to have a retirement plan in place.
Okay, so you mapped out what it is. What do employers need to do?
Yeah, so the legislation requires all companies in California to register with the state, notifying them if they currently sponsor a workplace savings plan, like a 401k. And if they do, they're all set. They have nothing further is required. But if they don't, they need to do one of 2 things to comply: either implement a qualified retirement plan or adopt the state-sponsored option, which is a Roth IRA plan called CalSavers.
Okay, so let me ask you this. They've got 2 options. What if they fail to take action? What if they do nothing? What happens?
Yeah, Ash, it's pretty serious. There's monetary penalties, essentially fines, which escalate over time, and they can become pretty costly. So the California Franchise Tax Board notifies any company they believe to be non-compliant. And when you are notified, you either register and show that you already have an established retirement plan, or you register and say that you don't, but you will adopt one within 90 days. So you do have 90 days from the date of the notice to get a plan in place if you don't have one. But after that, fines will be levied by the state at a rate of $250 per employee. And if no action is taken after 180 days, 90 further days, fines ratchet up to an additional $500 per employee, totaling $750 per employee per year. And that can add up pretty quickly. A quick example, if a company has 20 employees and they're fined at $750 per employee, they would owe a penalty of $15,000 to the state annually until they've implemented a plan so that they meet the mandate. Many California companies, by the way, have already been fined for noncompliance.
So, Steve, you mentioned earlier that employers have some other options. What are those options?
Right. So the first option is the state-offered IRA plan, which is called CalSavers. Or employers can adopt their own plan for employees, typically a 401k, by partnering with a reputable retirement plan provider.
Okay, so first, tell us a little more about the CalSavers option.
Yeah, so CalSavers is the retirement plan option offered by the state, which is a Roth IRA that's simple, relatively easy to set up, and it meets the minimum requirements of the state mandate. However, employers should be aware that CalSavers provides limited investment options for employees, no tax credits for their company, and it creates more administrative work on their part, like onboarding employees into the plan, processing payroll deductions, submitting contribution and census data on a regular basis, and some other things that cause the employer to have a little bit more work.
Makes sense. So if an employer wants more flexibility than CalSavers offers, what other alternatives exist?
Right. So, like I said earlier, Ash, CalSavers meets the minimum requirements of the state mandate, but there are other options that may offer advantages for both the employer and the employees. When you sponsor your own plan, benefits can include a broader range of investment options for employees to use, employer match contributions if a company chooses to do so, which can help employees save more and promote employee retention. Lucrative tax credits for the company are available, greater flexibility for employers so they can better meet the needs of both the company and their employees' retirement plan needs, and reduced responsibility and liability for employers. One example of this type of plan would be a pooled employer plan, or what we call a PEP. A PEP is a type of 401k plan that is particularly attractive for small and medium-sized companies.
Okay, so tell us a little more about PEP. I'm especially curious about how it compares to the CalSavers IRA.
Yeah, Ash, the differences are really pretty significant. For the employer, it reduces the administrative burden. There are tax credits available to your company, and those tax credits over the first 3 years can total up to $16,500. Vesting schedules, eligibility requirements. You can really make this plan your own and tailor it to your employee needs much more easily than you can with the CalSavers option. For the employee who's participating in the plan, there are broader investment options. There's pre and post-tax contribution options. In the CalSavers, there's only post-tax option available. And also matching contributions, if a company chooses to do so, can really help an employee to build their retirement more quickly. Finally, contribution limits are substantially different. CalSavers IRA has a limit of $7,500 versus $24,500 when you have your own plan in place, like a PEP. And oh, by the way, both of those limits go up when your employee is over 50. So if you do decide to sponsor your own plan, there's a couple of important things to consider when choosing a retirement provider. And one is personalized financial education and one-on-one advisor support. It allows each of your employees to get the help they need to really build a more successful retirement. The second thing is a firm that offers independent investment options. There are many retirement providers that manufacture their own investment options. And when they do, they, of course, want to offer them inside a plan, and often that can bring conflicts of interest. So look for a firm that is offering you the best of the best funds from an independent perspective.
Really interesting conversation. If you're a California business owner, there's a lot that's important to know. Steve, final thoughts, key takeaways for California business owners listening right now.
Yeah, Ash, Look, the key point is that this mandate is serious, and it can be costly for any company that doesn't comply. And that shouldn't be the case because it's easy to do so. You do have choices. CalSavers is the state-sponsored plan, but it's limited in many ways. But you also have the choice to offer your own plan through a retirement provider, which can promote stronger retirement outcomes for your employees and allow you as an employer to attract and retain top talent while also providing tax credits to the company. So understanding the differences is critical for employers to offer the best solution for their company and for their workforce. And the best way to determine what's right for your company is to talk with a professional about your objectives and their priorities. And Ash, I'd be happy to talk with anybody at any time about their situation and all of the important considerations we've just talked about.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Steve. There's certainly a lot to think about for employers who are facing these decisions regarding implementing a retirement plan for their employees. If you'd like to contact Steve to discuss your situation, please feel free to reach out to him with the contact information below. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, everybody.